Hello and welcome again to Comm-You-Nity with Jackie and friends. And today I'm really excited. This is the second edition, I guess, or episode they say. And I'm so blessed that Yuba College Foundation, Dr. Tawny Dotson, and of course the Happy Viking, Sandy Drown and Chris Drown, who are rock stars in Yuba City on Plymouth Street. And upcoming next month, the sponsor is going to be the Ranch House. So it was really cool to reach out to just friends. Again, this is all about community and friendships to bring you this podcast. So thank you again for that. So today, my guest, which I'm pretty excited about, I have known this lady for quite a while. We run in the same circles later in life. But Julie Coulson, who is were you born here, Julie?
I have never left here.
You have never left. Okay, good old Marysville girl who is here today to talk with us. And I got to tell you, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast, vodcast, I don't know what they're calling them anymore, but is that I wanted to bring people on that, I don't know if everybody knows Julie's story, although she's an open book. So that's what we're going to do today. So thank you, Julie, for being here.
Welcome.
So I want you to just tell our audience, listeners, or watchers, tell us about Julie. And what's your maiden name, by the way?
My name is Julie Martin, is my maiden name.
Yeah.
I grew up at I was born at Bill Air Force Base, moved into Marysville. We never lived on base. We only lived in Marysville. So I've lived on the corner of 11th and G, 12th and G, 9th and G.
Uh-oh.
But I grew up on 12th Street, went through all the schools, Colad, McKinney, Marysville High School, a little bit of Yuba College because I needed to meet a man. So I went to Yuba College. And I've been married for 37 years
Unbelievable.
to my husband, Chris, that I met at Yuba College because I took auto mechanics.
And that was your purpose.
That was my purpose.
Because I've heard that story before.
Yeah.
Your purpose was that.
Just to meet a man.
Yeah. No, I think it's wonderful. And I met you when you were working at Walgreens, and I met you in Yuba City.
Yes.
And it's really funny because I'd see you and I'd come back in years, not even years later, but, 6 months later or something, I'd like, oh, she's pregnant. And then I say, oh, that's great, never think anything about it. Year or so goes by and, oh, she's pregnant again. So one day, I think we just started talking, and I just wanted to know your story. So talk to us a little bit about, I know that you've fostered a lot of kids, but tell us about how you did the surrogacy. I just think it's a beautiful story.
So, yes, because didn't you used to work for an old...
I was at Recology. I was at
before
Fremont.
when I met you.
Yeah.
You worked... Did you work at Fremont or did you work... I thought you worked in a senior home. No?
No.
Always
Wrong
Fremont?
Jackie.
No, yeah.
Yeah, she's got way too many Jackies, but not this Jackie.
You know what?
but
I just assumed...
I'm a senior citizen. Is that what you were thinking?
That was it. That was...
Yeah, no. My first, of course, the upholstery hut, and then I went to Fremont Ride Out. But
So
I think
maybe
when I
with-
met you with Fremont Ride Out.
Seeing that's it, and probably your
Yep.
group of people, I just assumed
Yep.
that it was part of that. But anyway, my surrogacy. So what made me decide to be a surrogate was in the 80s, there was a lady that was a surrogate. She was like one of the first surrogates, and she decided to surrogate for a couple, and then she kept the baby.
Oh.
And it was horrible. And I just always
I think I remember reading that story.
Her name was Mary, but I can't remember her last name. And I always thought that was so horrible.
Yeah.
So then, years go by, and I have my own kids, and I have everybody else's kids.
And how many kids do you have?
Me and my husband have 2 birth children.
Okay.
We adopted 4 children. I've been guardianship of 6 children. I've foster cared. I don't know how many. And then I do exchange kids because they have an expiration date and they have to
So
go
I
home.
wanted to throw that out there because I wanted people to know you love kids. You are really that. All right. So go back to that
I decided
story.
I wanted to be a surrogate. And my friend down the street, I just kind of thought about it. And she said, I'm going to be a surrogate. And I go, oh, no way. I've always wanted to do that. And she goes, okay. So we ended up with a company, and I met my intended couple. And I did it for 2 gay men just because some people have a problem.
What a blessing.
And one of them is the selfish reason. One is when you work with an infertile couple, you're their last choice. gay men, you're their first choice.
Exactly.
So anyway, so I ended up meeting with them, and we got pregnant, and I had a little baby boy named Christopher, who we call baby Christopher because my husband's name's Chris. My son's name's Christopher.
Okay.
So baby Christopher now is 22 years old. He just graduated from Georgetown. Yeah. So I think he graduated in journalism. He does well. And then about a year later, they wanted another baby, and I said no. And my husband and both of them said, "Oh, come on, Julie, it's not that hard." And I'm like, "I'm the only one."
Okay, wait a minute. The men are saying, "It's not that hard, Julie." Yeah, right. Okay.
So I'm like, "No, it's harder than you think, you guys." So anyway, we had another baby 3 years later. A little girl named Lizzie. She just turned 20. She goes to University of Tallahassee, and she's going to be a physician's assistant.
Wow.
And she does wonderful.
Now, both children
and it's
are
my baby. It's my baby. And then one of the dads is the same dad.
Oh, that's great.
So,
okay.
yeah.
And I was going to say, so the two babies are to the same couple.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Because I just wanted to do
Yeah.
just to do it. And I've always been in their life. They live in Florida. We've taken family vacations together. We've done everything. And people ask me if I want to live closer. Like, I wish we lived closer. And I said no, because I don't want to be a mom.
Yeah.
And I would take over.
Yeah.
Because I have that personality.
Yeah, I'm afraid you would, Julie. Yeah.
So I like to come visit.
But how did they connect to you? I have to hear that background.
So what happened is we went through an agency, Growing Generations. And so then you meet, and then we became friends. So a lot of times you're a surrogate and you never see the couple or the kids again.
Okay.
And at first I thought I could do that. And then I couldn't do that. I don't want to be in their life. But I want to know they're okay. And I share in the joys. Like if it's special person day, I would go to their school. And if you ever want to feel famous, be a surrogate for two gay guys.
Yeah.
Because I would go to school. They go to a Catholic school. They did when they were younger. And I would be walking with them, and I'd hear the whispers. "Oh my God, I wonder if she knows he's gay. I wonder if she knew he was gay first." So yeah.
Yeah.
Or they would, it was funny.
Were you a hippie at any time? Because and I only say that because honestly, again, in the 80s, a surrogate. And I do remember that story. Now you bring it back, it's like, okay. But you just that wasn't anything you talked about, especially in Yuba and Sutter counties.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
I am famous.
Yes. Oh, you are famous.
I am famous.
Well, yes, you are.
Because I am the I'm the first surrogate they had at Fremont Hospital.
Oh, okay.
So,
man.
So they hadn't had any
Beautiful.
surrogates before that, and so I broke them in.
Yeah.
And it was really nice. And when I had Lizzie, they all, the nurses remembered me, and they made sure to bring Gary lots of Kleenex because he cried the whole time. And it was fun. We were at a retirement party, and one of the ladies said, "Oh my God, you're the first surrogate. Don't you ever remember you're so famous?" Yeah, Sue Chambers.
And again, I was always like, love Sue Chambers.
Oh, she
Talk
was.
About history right there. Yeah.
Oh, I love her.
And have you met a lot of surrogate people now?
I know a lot of surrogates. I know people that had babies for famous people.
That's
like
beautiful.
Ed O'Neill from Modern Family.
Yeah.
My friend had a baby for him.
Okay.
I mean, she's like my true friend.
Sure.
I know a surrogate that had a baby for B.D. Wong from Law and Order. Yeah.
Oh, and again, in the 80s,
Yeah.
it's just, those boundaries, you stepped out and you did that, and you did it out of love, because obviously that wasn't, wasn't in the cards, but you wanted it to be for somebody that loved each other like they did. Oh my gosh.
So I had him in
love that
2000 and
story.
2003.
Okay. And then your kids, how did your biological kids, when did they come along?
So I had my oldest in 1987.
Okay.
And he graduated, he has an anthropology degree, and he was going to be a medical examiner, but he fixes machines at Starbucks.
That's okay.
but that's his dream.
Yeah.
And then my birth son, Jacob, is a nuclear machinist mate, and he's just in the submarines.
Yep.
And he lives in Italy, and we go and visit him.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
You recently went.
And we're going to go again in November. I just saw him. He flew to the States because his best friend got married in Fallbrook. So we had a big Persian wedding It was a big party. Huge. And then I always call them the first five. So it's Christopher and then Gregory and Christopher are a week apart. Gregory passed away when he was 22. And then the next year is Tabitha. And then the next year is Jacob and Ashley, who they're a week apart. So it was just like locust. Nobody knew their names. It was like the Coulsons. Hey, Coulson.
Have you ever not had children in your house since 1987?
It was like 2 months.
Oh, okay.
We had one of our exchange students moved out, and I told my husband, he's like, we are having no children, no animals. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, most of us are like, okay, you're 18, you're going off to college. And we're like, oh, the empty nest. And
yeah,
it's
so we did
not
that.
The Coulsons.
Yeah,
not
so
Chris
we did
and Julie.
that for like a month. And then I asked my husband, I go, what do people do? Like, how do you do your dishes? You have children for that. You have children to feed the dogs. And so we probably enjoyed like a month and a half. And then I had an exchange student. Something happened and she had to come live with us. And then I had a old foster child that came to live with us.
So, all right. So
that's it. That's the last time.
That is beautiful. Okay. So let's talk. Okay. So you go from surrogacy and then you went into the foster care. How did you get into that world?
So I ended up in foster care because my first 3 kids were never foster children. I just couldn't mind my own business. And I took them. Okay.
And you just took them?
Yeah, well, mutual, yeah. Because I grew up with their mom, and it was just like, I would call CPS. It was a mess. So finally, I just said, let me have your kids. And she goes, okay. Well, she didn't, yeah. And we went, and so they were legally mine. And then I just thought something was missing. I don't know. When the kids got a little bit older, I thought, oh my God, that's what I always wanted to do, was raise a ton of kids. Always. Right. Maybe that wasn't Chris's.
That was your thing.
That was my thing. Maybe not my husband's, but he goes with the flow. And so he
is a Wheatland High School grad. So, Marysville rules, and
I know
Wheatland's kind of drooling, and you took care of that drooling.
I did. I had to flip that W over to an M. But so I was going to be, I wanted, how it started, sorry. Our next door neighbor had foster kids. Okay. I wanted to take one of them, her name was Dew, on a trip with us to San Simeon. And they said you had to be a foster parent to do that, which is not true now. So I became a foster parent so I could take her on vacation. And so the agency called me and said, we have... Well, first they called me because somebody was sick and I had to stay at their house while the mom was in the hospital. And it was super cool because she was in the hospital and I never met her. Her husband would come home at night and then we would switch off. And it was kind of like wife swap because that was so popular back then. Yeah. But we would only talk on the phone, me and the mom. And then she goes, oh, Julie, you can leave today because I come home. And I said, oh, no. It's the end of the show. I want to meet you. And so we have been friends ever since.
Oh,
and that was
beautiful.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So then they called me for these 2 girls to come live with me. And I said, I don't want to be first off, I don't have enough time and I don't have enough room. And they said, they'll only be there for like a month. They're going to get adopted. And the people have to move. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay. And then a year later, we adopted them. They never left.
Oh, this is the story. I'm getting it now.
So then, so we did that, and I let my license lapse. And then our neighbor was a grandma, and her son, her grandchildren, the twins, needed a place to stay. And she said, Julie, if you get your license, I will watch the kids because they were little. And I said, okay. So I got my license, but it worked out differently for them. And then I just kept my license and then they come. But I only take 9th grade and above, which is weird because
you don't normally see that or hear that.
Well, and 2, the kids I babysat or adopted 3 of the kids were all junior high kids. But,
I see.
But yeah, I like 9th grade and above because they know where they're going. I can't do the hormones.
And that's kind of the scary part because, when you do talk about the foster care system, and I know you and I have had long conversations about that, that kind of that unspoken rule where they go off when they're 18. It's like, that didn't happen in your house.
No,
that's the one thing about you, Julie, that's so different is that no, you wanted to make sure that their next step in life was taken care of.
And they're prepared, or they can always come back.
Right.
Or, if I still get, it amazes me. I had a girl she was a typical teenager, get caught drinking at Jack in the Box and get grounded. And
oh, yeah, kind of like us.
Yeah. Yeah. And she'd say, I'm just being a teenager. You can't ground me. And I'm like, I'm just being a parent. And yes, you are. Anyway, she was a hot mess. But she ended up growing up, getting married, and she has 3 beautiful children. And she calls me for advice, like when she doesn't know what school to go to or whatever. And it was cute because she gave me a backhanded compliment. She goes, you know what? I used to think you were such a B word. But actually, now I understand.
Oh, my gosh. There's no higher compliment, Julie, than that.
Yeah. So that was super cool. And it's a lot of my kids have become successful. In fact, one of them's birthday's today. And I was teasing her because having teenagers, we had a lot of turmoil. We had cops and one day the cops came and we weren't home. And her name was Rachel. Rachel, we get there and Rachel's offering refreshments to the police officer. And I'm like, what are you doing? She goes, maybe they're hungry. I don't know. Julia was being polite. So that's the joke.
Well, you've done really well with that, let me tell you. Yeah. So are you kind of done now, or do you have who's home now? Other than the dogs, I hear about your dogs.
Yeah. So at my house now, I have my 2 dogs, and then I'm watching a dog, Bucks. It was supposed to be for a month because his owner is deployed or stationed in England, and so it was supposed to be for a month because their brother was going to fix the fence, and then it was going to be a year and a half, but then that person didn't show up. And so I figure I'll have Bucks for a year and a half more. And he's a good
You're
dog.
a foster dog person.
Yeah.
Now.
And
I love it.
Chris said, how did we get this? Because our kids are friends with Mackenzie, but she serviced and she was supposed to, dogs were supposed to leave on that Wednesday. She got a letter from the USDA saying they can't fly to England because we didn't sign something.
Gotcha.
And so
Bucks is there.
Yeah, Bucks is there. He's there.
Any kids home now?
So I have Selena, my daughter Selena.
Oh, that's right.
That
Selena
we adopted.
is a rock star.
She does really well. And Selena and my surrogate daughter Lizzie are 4 months apart. So they always laugh because they say they're twins.
Okay.
And then I have a kid that he got out of the service. His mom lives in Missouri. And she goes, will you just take him? And I'm like, okay. Hey,
I'm not going to say it on the air, but if you need to get rid, no. I'm kidding. Well, you know what? Yeah. What a gift, though. I mean, like you said, you were meant to be. This is where your life was going to go. You have an amazing husband that gets it.
Yeah.
And you have rules. So that's what one of the things when I was thinking about having you on is, oh my gosh, I laugh all the time. And if anybody wants to be Facebook friends with Julie, you will hear all the, and I date myself because I've asked people, do you know who Irma Bombeck is? And they don't. And I'm like, what? How can you not? Yeah. And you just the stories about your family and about your kids and, but just some of the fun things. Throw me some of those because you have been. I know I throw you on the spot, but now you're a paraeducator.
Yeah, I work at a school,
right?
And I work at Yuba County Prep.
Yes,
and is
that the one Kurt and I were talking? That is over on E Street, the old Gimmicky Forward building.
John C. Bays.
Perfect.
Yeah,
and they've really done a nice job over there.
It looks beautiful in there. So we have K through 12.
Oh, okay.
Our students are, some of them just want to get out of high school. Yeah. They're fine. Some come out of juvenile hall, T.E. Matthews, or they just can't handle, with COVID, ruined everything. They can't handle the anxiety and stuff.
So tough.
So we have all of those kids. And so a funny story.
Please. I can't wait, Irma. Julie.
And when I first got hired there, I said, because I'm the librarian. And I said, okay, so I want to do stuff. I want to have like raffles and all of the stuff. And so my boss said, well, who do you think is going to pay for that? And I said, my friends will pay for it. It'll be fine. And she goes, what? Because she didn't know me, which was very weird. And so I did all of this, and So we have like everybody, even you've donated to my raffle, to my gift cards. I always say just $10 gift cards. And so one of the teachers, he's so funny. He said, I was bragging about you yesterday because we had a thing to do. And he said that how when you had these implemented and you said, my friends will just do it. And he said, I love sitting there and some random person will come up into the doors and say, is Julie Coulson here? I have
gift cards
for her, or I have makeup for her, or I have, because we give the kids everything. And that's one thing I like about our school is we are small. We're only 200 students.
Oh, okay.
We can be up to 300, but we have so much help. Like maybe I'm not your person, but there's somebody that's going to be your person.
And I have seen so many stories over the last year that you have done, and they're heartwarming, because I know you talked about one student who just did not think he was going to pass the test, and you worked with that student, and they were so excited. They're coming back to you. Those are the kind of stories.
Those are the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Or even we do state testing, and our kids don't do well on state testing because, and just like a lot of kids, it doesn't benefit them. It benefits your school.
Right.
So we have, if you do grade level, and one of my little girls she tested out, I think she's a 9th grade, but she tested out like 7th grade. Mm-hmm. And something about a gift card. And I said, well, if you get 9th grade, you'll get a gift card. And she goes, okay. And so she took the test and she did over 12th grade. She read, and it was just applying herself. And it was
it's the confidence you gave her.
And they love to come in, like they get their driver's license, or they, And our school is one where maybe at a comprehensive site, a regular site, you'll get overlooked because there's so many kids, and you're not the cream of, you're not up here.
Right.
So at our school, you are, so it's super fun.
And I'll tell you, this is what's so interesting, Julie. So, of course, high school was not my gig. It just was not. I've never denied it. I went back and got, my diploma. But, I remember the continuation school back in the 70s. Oh, my gosh. Those, my parents wouldn't even let me go there because, no, those are the bad kids. It is not the case. And I think that's another thing that you bring out through your post is these wonderful kids that they just need a little hand up. They don't have the confidence they had. And as you said, COVID just threw them back a couple of years. Like this one, 9th grade, she probably didn't realize where she was at in that chain. So, I mean, tell me about your typical day there.
So, today we had...
You can tell the good, bad, and ugly. This is Comm-You-Nity with Jackie.
So I'll say yesterday. Because we don't start till Monday. So a lot of our seniors get lost. Like once they turn 18, they want to quit. Oh,
yeah.
So we have been working on stuff, and one of our soon-to-be seniors, she wanted to go back to Marysville. And I'm like, why would you like to go back to Marysville? And she said, so for all the senior stuff, like sunrise, senior sunrise and senior sunset. And I'm like, I'll get up with you at 6 o'clock in the morning if you bring me some Starbucks and we can do the senior sunrise.
Yeah.
So we've been planning, like at Marysville High School, you can now paint a parking spot.
Oh, yes.
It's super cool.
I think that's neat.
Yeah, and ours, I love Marysville's because it's only a 2x4. It's not the whole parking spot, and it's white background, so it looks really good. So we can't do that where we are unless we do it on the basketball court. So we're doing we're making a sign that says senior parking, and then they're doing poster boards, and we're putting it on our wall.
Oh, nice.
And
they have their spot.
And then we were laughing because if they were not doing good, we were going to put another sign that said no parking and move them. But my boss said we can't do that.
Oh my gosh! You're still trying there. You're still trying.
And so, we're just kind of planning on what we're going to do. Like, once a month, we're going to get together.
That's beautiful. How many seniors do you have?
Probably like 20, 25 we'll have. Hopefully.
See, and here's another perfect thing I know you're going to do. You're going to put something out when they get ready to graduate. We're all going to come together and do a senior sunrise breakfast for them. I mean, this is what community it is, and you make that community, Julie, and that would be so cool for us.
Yes, and that's what I mean when people, they downgrade like, oh, you're going to,
No.
Marysville or Yuba City or what. And I'm like, no, we are very
You're
giving.
giving them an opportunity to get their diploma.
Yeah.
And you know what? And I love those stories because, they're going to go off to be PhDs or whatever they're going to be. They just had to get through this piece of it. And, I talk about the Middle College Academy because there are those kids that are like, I just want out. But, I'm not saying they're smarter or not smarter. They're just on a different path.
They do.
So now we have a path for them. This is where your school, to me, I love it because now you have that path. But that doesn't mean they're any less of anything. They are always together.
Well, in our class, we have CTEs, which used to be kind of like ROPs.
Yeah.
And so we have welding and vet tech and aquaponics and automotive. So vet tech, you can do our program for 4 years.
Yeah.
You can come out, do your clinical
Go
hours.
out to Yuba College and finish it.
Well, and you can even finish it with us.
Yeah, right.
And you get your certificate. And our place there is set up like a veterinary. It looks like a veterinary office. Our welding, we just hired our welding teacher because our old teacher kept trying to retire and we kept keeping him on. And finally he said, no, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
No. But you get your welding certificate, and our welding program is extra special because Cardin is juvenile hall, like Camp Singer.
Right.
And they come over and they can get their welding certificate because we have a kid. He's just enrolling, and I said something about welding because he just came from juvenile.
Right.
And he said, oh, no, I got it through Camp Singer. And he was super excited. And I'm
Perfect.
like, because that's something you can't take away. It's like,
You cannot.
Yeah,
It's a skill. It's an art.
It is
It's-
such a skill.
yeah.
And everybody needs welders, you know.
Ken Hamill, I think he's
wonderful.
adult ed now, right? Or adult
He does-
ed, but
He just always only comes to when we eat, so I'm not really. No, I love
well, that's
Ken.
really funny. But years ago, I remember, talking to him about upholstery. It's a trade, and there isn't, and that's just hands-on trade. And
Yeah.
he kept saying, "Come and teach." If I don't, Lynn's like, "No, I'm not going to do it." But those are those skills, like you're saying. But what I like is, and if they can just get this, and they get that diploma in their hand, and they realize. If you want, I know school's not their thing, but through career technical education, they can go get the additional certificates at Yuba College.
Yeah, they can do lots of stuff.
And what's nice is now that you are all there, you're guiding them that way. Again, Matthews, W.T. Ellis, when we were growing up, that was never an option. You went there, you were the kids, you had to go sit in the corner, they gave you the notebook, and, you're on your way. So,
and another plug with Ken Hamill, hopefully I can just hear him listening to this going, oh my God, I am fabulous. Years ago, he set up a thing, and we still do it. They go down to a car show in down south. The kids work. It's like 7 or 8 kids, or I think up to 10. Last year we took like 6. They go down for a week. They help at the car show. They get to go out to eat at a restaurant and sit down with a waiter. They eat, go to the ocean. They're just kids. And we have kids that have never been to the ocean.
oh, that's beautiful.
That have never, they come back and they're all, Miss Julie, look at this is what we did.
Yeah.
And it just warms my heart. Or like we do so he set that up a long time ago, and he's kept it
still
up.
doing it. Good.
Yes, and we do another car show, or like we do the veterinary. Our Mrs. Sparks, she worked for the zoo before,
Right.
and so we get to go behind the scenes at the zoo, or
So they're really getting you some hands-on.
and feline haven.
Yeah.
Feline haven.
Haven, the Oh, the vet.
Where I just thought it was in Marysville. No, it's a huge thing in Loomis.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful,
It's
and
a
we
big
got to
deal.
see it. And,
Yeah. Well, what is your youngest student? How old are your youngest ones?
We
there?
do TK,
TK.
but we mostly,
I mean, do you have like first graders, second graders and is that more just
it's all, so we have independent study, and then when you're in high school, we have cohort, which is 3 hours.
Okay.
But the TK through 8th grade is only independent study.
Okay.
Well, and kind of junior high, you can do a vet tech program for like an
Yeah.
hour a week. But yeah.
All right, now I'm going to transition you out because I'm just like, I got to get all this in 45 minutes. So, Bishop's Pumpkin Farm.
I wasn't going to do it, and I
So
turned in my
again,
paper.
another transition for Miss Julie. And it was funny because you were saying I don't want to work, and then you went to Bishop's, and the stories that you put out. And I know Wayne and his wife must be dying laughing because I'm sorry, there are really stupid questions that come up. And the ones that you've come up with,
Yeah, like, and they're so...
It's funny how you handle them so funny.
With a smile.
Yeah.
Where you're like... And I used to work with Barbara Keough for a while, and we would just laugh and laugh. And then we had a notebook, and on the back of the notebook, we would write people's stupid questions. And then like somebody from the gift shop or somebody was having a bad day, they'd come over and go, "Can I look at your notebook?
I need a little inspiration.
I need something to
Can
laugh
you remember
about."
any? I can't remember off the top of my head either, but oh my gosh,
the one that always hits, and it hits all the time, is they never know when dusk is. Right. When I say dusk, then they say, "Give me a time." And I'm like, "It's at dusk." Because if you give them a time, then if it's a minute off, they get angry.
Yeah.
They'll call me and ask me how far it is from their house from Roseville. Like, I live in Roseville. How far is it? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know where you live. And then they'll give me their address. And I'm like, okay, but
let me Google that.
Yeah, I can Google it. Or it's raining in Yuba City. Is it raining out at the farm? And I'm like, yeah. Just stuff like that.
I know.
Or people,
Yeah. And then, and of course you have your buddy Javier Lopez. You two are...
Adrian Perez.
I'm sorry, Adrian. I don't know where I got
totally
Javier.
Tease him.
Yeah, but he's always in your,
he's
like
always
one
in
of
my
those,
business.
That's it.
Him and Steve Spiker. Of course, Adrian picks on me, and then I pick on Steve Spiker.
Right.
But we all went to school together. I went to school with Adrian since like first grade when he used to wear the big wide belt with the plaid pants and the white shoes for picture
day. And you
day.
have not let him down because every once in a while I'll open up that Facebook and I go, "Oh, Irma's back at it, Miss Julie."
Yeah. So he is. Yeah. So we've been friends. He lives in Washington now. He comes to visit. He has a big family. He's part of the Mejia family. And
so you said you got back. Are you still in the information booth?
I'm in the. Well,
you need to write a book about the information booth at Bishop's because it's too funny.
So now, since I work at the school, I only work on the weekends.
Okay.
Which is totally different because during the week you're working with kids and their parents' care, and on the weekend you can have a kid in your booth for an hour. Their parents don't even know they're missing. I had one little 2.5-year-old, and this guy and his friend comes running.
Don't adopt him, Julie. You have to give them back.
Well, yeah. Oh my God. And you have the same families where it's like, you were here last week. Because I knew one of the little girls. I knew her name, and they said, "Well, what's the mom's name?" And I said, "I don't know." And they go, "Well, how do you know her name?" I go, "Because her brother was lost last weekend." It's all. And then I had one little boy that was lost, and his dad comes running up, and he spilt his beer on him. I'm like, "Oh," I go, "No, we're not babysitters." But no, I absolutely. Well, in the beginning, I love Bishop's. In October, it's kind of and then in November, it's like having a baby. It's like, it's okay.
It's all good.
It's so fun, and it's like the funnest place because people go there to have fun. It's not like they go there to be in a bad mood. It's not like I did customer service for 30 years with Walgreens. So
it's just, and that was the thing is I'm sure you almost have heard it all, when you're there. Have you ever, I have to ask this because it's just a crazy question, but you know how you get on the mic and you're asking for something on the mic? Have you ever had that?
At Walgreens?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. This is my horriblest Walgreens story I've ever done on the mic.
Okay.
It was super busy, and I was working at the Plymouth Lake Walgreens, and I picked up this item, and it slipped my mind what I was just looking at the item, and on the intercom I said, "I need a price check for hairy balls." And I said it, and I didn't register it. The lady looked at me, and I could hear a lady behind a girl on her phone in the card section that was behind me say, "They just announced that there's a price check on hairy balls." And it was
on TikTok immediately.
It was so funny. And one of my friends still teases me. And every time I see those it's just like a rubber ball. We'll send pictures. "Saw your hairy balls, Julie." But it was so funny. Yeah. It was just like, I was just in a hurry.
I know. And that's what I love about just life in general. Yeah. These funny things that happen,
And especially so I worked at the Yuba City Walgreens for 25 years. So you expect crazy stuff there because it's in the middle of town. But in Plymouth Lake, you don't really expect it. And my boss used to say, how come it only happens on your shift? And I said, it's just the Walgreens, it's just from you can take the girl out of Yuba City, but no, like we will have there's no bums out there. No. And one time that was when Walgreens was all by itself, and we closed at 9, and there was a lady out there. She was probably homeless. Well, she was homeless. And so I went out there and I said, just to let you know, we're closing and there's nothing for you. And I'm worried about you.
Yeah.
I see you have a car. Is your car? And she looks straight at me and she goes, do you know Brian? I go, what? And she goes, my friend Brian. And I looked at her and I'm like, is there like a homeless situation where go out to the Plymouth Lake Walgreens? Julie will know you from the Yuba City Walgreens. And so, it's like stuff like that. Or one day we had a little girl, I don't know what the night before they must have been partying and she passed out outside. And so we brought her in and I laid her in the camera department because the floor is cold. And when you're...
Yep.
And I put little caution things around her and I called the police because nobody recognized her. And my boss said, or somebody said, well, why don't you have her in the office? And I go, first off, I'm not in the office and I want to check on her. So she doesn't, because I put, the little thing in case she gets sick. And 2, nobody knows who she is. And Plymouth Lake is kind of small. So I'm hoping somebody will say,
there's my child. Hey, that's Susie's down the street.
I recognize that child. But
Julie,
Walgreens.
the crazy stuff that you've walked into.
Yeah.
Well, now we got to talk about a little bit about Soroptimist. And now we're full circle, aren't we? I mean, we have raised our kids. We have gone there. The Day for Women, of course, you sit on that committee, and you are the rock star. Everybody loves Julie, and Julie, you do the vendor stuff, and it's just it is so much fun because it's so organic, and it is so fun.
And I love the Day for Women because when you started it was just. Let's just all get together and have lunch. Yeah. And that's what it is. And that's
exactly, and it's still that. And that's what we love it on our 3rd year. Then Soroptimist, that's another thing. Yeah. I mean, I remember when we started the Evening Soroptimist Club, and it took a while for women to understand this isn't just a show. I can't even say the word. I'm so social club. But, but it is about women. It's women trafficking and all the kind of yucky stuff that that women sometimes have to deal with. But you and your team and the group, we all come together. I'm a Soroptimist in Wheatland, and you're in, so it's like, this is the cool part about life. I think we are at that point, and now, we can enjoy it. We can enjoy it, and we can give back, and that's what I love about you. You're giving back. You haven't stopped giving back, and I'm telling you, if anybody wants to get rid of their kids for the weekend, I bet
my door's
maybe
closed.
Not. Oh. Well, thank you for your time. I'm gonna transition back over here, and again, I cannot thank you enough for the sponsorships, Electronic Playground, who takes care of the Facebook post, Kurt behind the scenes over here laughing at us each time. But next month, we're going to have the M&Ms, Marnie Sanders and Maria Ball. And I don't know how we're going to fit them in here, Kurt, but we're going to put 3 chairs in here.
It's going to be crazy.
It's going to be a crazy, crazy podcast. So with that, thank you again. Happy Viking. Thank you for sponsoring today. We'll go have lunch there soon, Julie, because that's what we do. So thank you so much.